Hello everyone, this is part 10 of What If Naruto and Hinata Had a Kid, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. At home again, Yumi jumped down from her mother's arms and ran into her bedroom to her dolls. Hinata locked the door behind them and went to the kitchen to put the bags from the market away. While she put away the meats and vegetables, the toddler came back out with two dolls and continued to play in the kitchen. When Hinata had to step over her a second time, almost sping, she got a little annoyed. "What are you doing playing in the middle of the kitchen? I don't want you to worry about me, mommy." Hinata smiled and kneeled down. "We're home now, we're safe at home, I don't worry about you here. Go play in the living room while I finish putting things away. Will you play with me?" "Of course I will. Then I'll wait for you." Yumi scooped up her dolls and pranced out of the kitchen into the living room. After only a few minutes, however, her 4-year-old attention span turned her back to her mother in the kitchen. "Mommy, why can't we get a kitty? Why this sudden interest with cats, Yumi? Suki got one the other day, I want one too." "Oh, I see," Hinata sang, then leaning over the countertop to her daughter, who stared at her with large puppy blue eyes. She almost wanted to remind her that she wasn't daddy, and that wasn't likely going to work on her as easily it did on her husband, but deciding she was just too cute, Hinata only smiled instead. "So you want a cat because your friend has one?" Yumi nodded, her puppy eyes getting larger. "Yumi, you should never want things others have." "Why?" "Because then you lose track of how wonderful you have it." Yumi looked confused, but seemed to accept this nonetheless and began jabbering about what they could do tomorrow. Hinata answered while she began to put groceries in the right containers and set up their meal for dinner. She was used to waking up alone. She had done it almost all her life, but waking up alone in someone else's house just seemed odd. Hinata woke up and absent-mindedly searched for a warm body next to her. When she found none, her eyes snapped open and she remembered where she was. She looked over at the clock and almost groaned when she realized how late it was. She had never slept past noon in her life, and here it was almost 2 in the afternoon. Walking to the bathroom, she did a mental list of things she had planned for today. She had to go out with Sakura today to get those books. She also had to go to the library to report to her new job. It also wouldn't hurt to clean up a bit. She didn't know when Naruto was due back from his mission, but she figured it was better safe than sorry. Sakura arrived at 2 on the dot. Hinata had yet to really get dressed but allowed her friend in anyway while she dressed in the bathroom. Sakura informed her of the latest talk amongst the leaves surrounding her and Naruto. Hinata only half listened. She was starting to get really tired of all this gossip. "And since everyone saw Neji leave your house yesterday," Sakura continued, looking through some of the papers on the coffee table. "The newest rumor is that he was sent on behalf of your family to try and talk you out of whatever it is you're doing." "And what am I doing?" "It depends on who you ask, but I've heard you're planning to run away with Naruto, or you're planning to marry him and break away from the clan altogether. In fact, I even heard that someone heard you and Neji yelling and fighting. What's wrong?" Hinata stopped listening to her friend when the sudden pain in her stomach hit. It was like a menstrual cramp, only much worse than she had ever felt. She felt her knees buckle slightly and she supported herself on the bathroom counter. This was new and scary. She had gotten used to the morning sickness. Was she supposed to feel this now? I don't know," she answered, and then the pain got slightly harder before beginning to fade. "Do you want to call your doctor?" No, it's okay, it's gone now." She straightened up and continued to brush her hair, but her mind was still wired with what had just happened. "Is that normal?" Apparently Sakura was too. "I don't know." "Well, what did your doctor say?" "She gave me several books to pick up. I'm sure there's something in there about it." "Aren't you a medic? Don't you know something about this stuff?" "I'm a field medic. I can reattach a limb, but a baby is completely foreign to me." Sakura crossed her arms and Hinata gave a sweet giggle. After a few more minutes in front of the mirror, they were heading out, Sakura still jabbering, this time about Ino's new boyfriend. "I thought she was dating that guy from Anbu," Hinata asked, locking the door. She was. Why did they break up? Ino says he came back from a mission with a hickey that wasn't from her. Oh my. Hinata could only imagine the beating that poor man got from the blonde friend. Ino was not known to ever have civil breakups. On the way to the bookstore they did what girls do best. They talked of everyone and everything. Hinata began to realize how much she had really missed Sakura. They had always been close. Compared to her other friends, Sakura was the one who Hinata trusted completely without question. It was this fact alone that made Hinata come up with her decision with her eyes scanning over the bridal magazines. Sakura went to ask where the last book on their list was. She figured it wouldn't be too bad to tell Sakura. She had promised to tell no one, but it was Sakura. She was the first to know about her baby, and she was pretty much Naruto's unofficial sister. And Neji of all people already knew, which meant it was likely Tenten knew, and was just keeping quiet about it until someone else mentioned something about it. So with those factors to consider, telling Sakura would actually be the safest way to go right now. She was pretty sure if the entire village was already starting rumors of them running away together, a wedding wasn't far behind. Also going on that, she was even more sure that Naruto would not appreciate a mob when he got back asking him for details on wedding the town made up that just happened to be true. Geez, some of these people aren't helpful at all. Sakura complained finding Hinata in the magazines. Here it is, last copy I'm told. She handed Hinata a thick book. When Hinata took it and thanked her friend, Sakura noticed what she had been staring at. When I was little I would always look at these and show my mother what my dress would be like. I don't think I'll need a dress. Hinata mused, and Sakura, being the sharp person she was, caught on instantly. Meaning, Naruto proposed to me before he left. Hinata said, picking up a magazine with a pretty girl on the cover in a very unconventional white dress. When Sakura didn't speak for a moment too long, Hinata was afraid she put her into shock. But when she looked up and her eyes met green ones, Sakura pulled her into a corner and did a quick scan to make sure no one was in earshot. He what? She yelled in a whisper. He proposed, but Sakura, don't say anything, we agreed to keep it secret for now. Why? Well, I mean, with my father and Tsunade and then everyone else, we figured a formal announcement wouldn't be very welcomed. No, I mean, why did he propose? Did you talk to him about what we talked about? What we? No, I didn't mention anything. He just asked me, is it wrong? No, not wrong. I mean, Sakura seemed to fidget. Maybe you should get everyone used to the idea of a baby before you two start picking out furniture together. I don't think anyone will ever get used to it. Hinata put a hand on her stomach but looked thoughtfully at her friend. Sakura let a small smile appear on her lips and looked sympathetically back. There was a brief moment of silence before Sakura spoke again, this time her tone much friendlier than before. That's true. So when are you two planning to go through with it? We haven't really talked about it. Do you want it to be soon? Before you start to, show. I would, but I need to talk to Naruto about that. Talk to Naruto about what? Both girls whipped around to meet a happy blonde girl standing right behind them with a book in hand. Ino? Sakura asked, looking confused. What are you doing in a bookstore? My mother needed a book on plants. I came to pick it up. So what were you talking about that had Naruto's name in it? Since when do you care about anything to do with him? Sakura counted, crossing her arms. Since he knocked up Hinata. Ino said so casually. Hinata actually blushed. We were discussing possible names. Sakura said with a confident smile. Names, huh? Anything picked out so far? Ino asked as they walked to the register together. Nothing yet, but like Hinata said, that's something she would need to speak with Naruto about. After Hinata's meeting with the girls, Ino had to run back to her shop while Sakura had to leave and report back to Tsunade. With the rest of the afternoon to herself, she chose it as a good time to report to her new job. The library was big, and very quiet. She had spent many times in here as a student at the academy, either hiding from everyone or studying away from her home. Walking back into its large double doors, Hinata figured it wasn't such a bad choice. It was better than the secondary school after all, and doing anything ninja related would just make her sad. She walked right to the front desk. A young woman with her hair tied back smiled at her and Hinata smiled back. Hello, I was told to report here for my new job. Hyuga Hinata. Yes, Hinata said with a small bow. Wait right here. the girl said and left her post. She returned a few seconds later with an older-looking woman behind her. The young girl returned to her post and the older woman went straight to Hinata. Hello dear, I am Mai. Tsunade said you'd be coming. Follow me, I'll show you around. Hinata followed the older woman through the library and listened carefully when she explained procedure of how to restack the books. It seemed simple enough. Books went in alphabetical order according to author, scrolls went in numerical order along with subject. Hinata noticed the people too, they were quiet and withdrawn into their own little study worlds. One or two even fell asleep on their papers, while others had mountains of books on either side of them. It's not too hard, Mai was saying now in a lower whisper since they were walking around. When can you start? As soon as you'd like me to. Oh, I thought it would be later, but that's great news. One of my employees is taking some vacation time and I need someone to fill in her spot. Glad you can start. Tsunade told me what happened. If you feel you need days off or time off, please don't hesitate to ask. I have 3 children myself, each pregnancy more difficult than the one before. I'll understand if you can't come in on some days. Oh, thank you. Hinata bowed her head. Then remembering this was going to happening a lot, she straightened right back up again and gave Mai a sweet Hinata smile. So tomorrow then? Yes. What time would you like me to be here? Well, we open at 9, so how about 8 in the morning so you can be shown around a bit more? I'll be here at 8 then. A few more minutes of polite idle chatter and avoiding any questions regarding her present condition, Hinata was back in the busy streets of Konoha. Having done her first 2 things to do, she was ready to head back home and start cleaning her new apartment. Within the next week and a few days more, Hinata was sitting used to her daily routine. She would work at the library for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Then she would come home and make herself dinner. She would sometimes go out for lunch or dinner with the girls if they weren't busy. Mainly it was Sakura since Sasuke was gone on a mission too now. She got used to it, but that didn't mean she liked it. All this free time was something she had never had before. Her life had consisted of training and missions, reports and more training. It was never in her daily routine to be home around 6 in the afternoon and have absolutely nothing planned. Not to mention she was alone. With Naruto away and everyone else away or busy with her old life, there was no one she could really talk to. It did, however, give her time to think. It gave her so much time to think, she had to force herself to stop thinking. She thought of her baby and her Naruto. She thought of her future family and what possible life she could have. Then when she thought of that, he thought of the family she left behind. She thought of Neji and his words to warn her and promise to protect her in some way against harm. She remembered their conversation. She replayed it daily in her head. She thought of how she could ever break the news to Naruto about the possibilities this baby had. They were on thin ice as it was with their relationship. Hinata was no fool. She knew she loved him and she knew he loved her, but she also knew the amount of stress the current situation had on them. There were many times when she laid awake alone in their bed that she began to doubt Naruto. Not his love for her, but why he did what he did. She knew him well enough to know that as spontaneous and unpredictable Naruto could be, there were limits. She didn't know, and began to wonder ever more so, if his sudden questions for them to now live together was completely his idea from the beginning or simply fueled to spite her father. It may have been a degrading thing to assume, but she knew her father's pride and she knew Naruto's pride all too well. Going on that, there was a good chance what was happening now was a result of pride against 2 men. This is when her thinking got extreme. This was when Hinata had to shake her head and remember that he had proposed to her when she never even mentioned the word marriage even once. He asked her, he spoke to her about it, he made the decision himself and asked her. Then she would backtrack, she would find herself thinking that her previous thinking of her fiancé's extreme pride had been an act of spite, was ridiculous and a result of staying up too late and being alone too long with her own thoughts. Then she would stop thinking, she would lay in bed, look up at the cloudy cold sky with her hand on her stomach. Sometimes she would talk to her child, confide in him how much she missed Naruto. How she was worried for him and how she prayed every night he would come home. When Sunday came around, it was almost a full week since Naruto left on his mission. She was on her usual spot on the couch watching television and eating a small portion meal she made with leftovers from a restaurant she went to during lunch or from the night before. She had just finished her small meal and her tea and was in the kitchen when her knees buckled again. It was the same pain as it had been over a week ago. Hinata dropped her plate on the counter and held tightly onto her stomach. The pain escalated and she almost cried out. She sat there on the kitchen floor for what felt a few minutes too long before the pain began to subside enough for her to move around. She went straight to her books that she kept by her bed. She had looked in them hours upon hours before and had yet to find anything relating to this pain. She had another 2 weeks before going back to see Dr. Kyoto, and the book did mention something about normal pregnancy pains, but it never elaborated on anything. She didn't know if this was what normal was. The books told her a lot, but some answers she couldn't find. When she looked through the last book from cover to cover, still finding nothing on her pains, Hinata tossed it aside and put her hands on her still flat stomach. "What's wrong?" she asked her stomach, almost expecting a tiny voice in her head to answer her. When nothing happened, she stood up and made her way to the bathroom. If no answers were going to come soon, she might as well call it a night and be ready for tomorrow. Once out of the shower and into her pajamas, which started to consist of a pair of panties and one of Naruto's shirts, she made her way to the bed. With one last look at the clock, she almost laughed. Not too long ago she could stay up into the very early hours of the morning and then even go a whole day and half on no sleep. Now she seemed to hardly be able to be up after 7 p.m. Giving into heavy body, she crawled into bed, wrapping the large warm blankets around her, watching the cloudy night sky out her window. She didn't remember falling asleep, but when she woke up, her head shot off the pillows. Cloudy with sleep still in her head, she fumbled at her alarm clock. It was almost 2 in the morning. Annoyed and confused as to what woke her up, she looked around in the dark. Something had woken her up. Her ninja senses had gone off, meaning something or someone was close. Instantly her mind went into alert mode, all sleep gone from her system. Someone was in her house. Someone had trespassed. She may be in grave danger. Her mind flew with people she knew. The only ones who came to mind were her relatives. Her conversation with Neji had brought up a lot of bad thoughts, and them taking her in her sleep was one of Hinata's fears. If not them, then many a villager had decided to do the unthinkable to her and her child. Her mind went on instant alert. Hinata moved quickly but also subtle enough not show anyone she was moving for the hidden weapons Naruto always kept hidden in case such an emergency. She reached over and grabbed a kunai from in between the mattresses. She skeffily slipped out of the bed, not making a sound. Her ears tuned to the sounds around her, she tried to pinpoint where she felt the presence. Whoever it was had its chakra suppressed so well she could barely feel it, but it was there. She put her fingers in between her nose and closed her eyes. She was ready to activate her bloodline when something grabbed her arm from behind. Before she could blink, Hinata found herself thrown roughly on the bed. She retaliated quickly, but before she could react, her attacker had her pinned. Needs to know you can still protect yourself. Even in the darkened room, she saw the brilliance of his blue eyes. She could smell the dirt and sweat on him. She felt his body heat over her and instantly she relaxed. Naruto. She blinked and he smiled coyly at her. He still had her pinned, but all she could do was let a wide smile cross her face. "You're back," she stated the obvious happily. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.